tuning into BaisWave.
Hi guys, it's Carme. Welcome to another episode of the Now Network with BaisWave, where we contact alumni to see where they're at after IS. So today we're here with Bernardo. Hi Bernardo, welcome.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And maybe just you can introduce yourself and give us a little bit of your background.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. I have just, a couple of months ago, I finished my master's. So I did study international studies. I did my bachelor's at the University of Leiden, and I finished in 2022. Mm-hmm. After that, I did my master's in Siena, at the University of Siena in Italy, in Linguistics and Philosophy. And now I am doing a PhD at the University of Groningen, so I'm back in the Netherlands, and I'm doing a PhD in, you could call it argumentation theory. That's what I'm studying, which is related to logic and argumentation as a whole.
That's great. So can you tell us a little bit of what was your experience in IS? Like what region did you choose, what language? Did you take any electives like in the fifth semester, an internship? Did you go on exchange abroad? Just let us know a little bit about that.
Of course. I specialized in the region of Latin America, so I am from Uruguay, just as yourself. And I lived in Uruguay only 5 years of my life. So for the most part, I lived outside of Uruguay, and so I am very much interested in the region. I go back almost every year, and I felt like it was a good way also to reconnect and to learn more about the region that I am originally from, but a region that I sometimes am unfamiliar with certain things. And it was a great experience. I chose Portuguese as a language because I already speak Spanish, right? And Portuguese was the only other choice for me, and that was also great. And that was an amazing experience. I did not do an internship, and as a matter of fact, I wanted to go do an exchange in Brazil to improve my Portuguese and everything, do 6 months abroad. However, I was unfortunate enough that it was around the time of Corona.
Virus.
Yeah. And so, it was not possible. And so I ended up doing a minor in philosophy at the University of Leiden as well. And that is kind of what paved the way for what I'm doing now. So it ended up working out well, actually.
Yeah, all right, great. After you did your minor in philosophy, that sort of led you to your master's, you said, in Italy. And so now you're in Groningen doing your PhD. And what is your current position? What does it entail? How do you spend your days, basically?
Well, that's a good question. I am new to this position, so I started a month ago, to put it, a bit more than a month ago. And so what I have to do is I had to initially create a project. The supervisors had provided some guidelines, and so the application process was part of the application process was creating a more concrete project related to what I wanted to do. So what I am personally doing is I am analyzing manipulative ways of arguing, and in particular in the context of alternative right-wing media, such as the AfD in Germany, the Alternative für Deutschland, and how they manage to be elusive or misleading with their argumentation, and how they do it with images, right? Because it's about argumentation, it's called multimodal argumentation, so they do it with images, AI-generated images, and how this can be misleading. And so my everyday is just doing research on the theories that have been written related to these topics, right? And so most of the day I just spent reading. So this is my initial, this is the initial part of the project, and so I have to inform myself. I have to get wise on the theory.
Of course. So you're doing mainly just research at the moment, and then you sort of will develop the project as you go.
Exactly. I have to write down some guidelines, and I have to kind of create a 4-year plan, because it's a 4-year PhD.
Right.
I have to create a 4-year plan, but it's still kind of in the making, so it's nothing extremely concrete yet.
Yeah, no, of course, makes sense. So you did your specialization in Latin America. Right now you are working with the AfD case study, sort of. Exactly. So for your future, do you feel like you have an idea of whether your future is in academia, and if so, would you like it to be connected to Latin America, or are you gonna stay more in the Europe side of things?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's one that I'm not sure about.
Fair.
I do want to stay in academia. It's something I see as very valuable.
Yeah.
And it's kind of where I see myself also potentially teaching in the future.
Yeah.
As a professor. But of course that takes a lot of time, so we'll see about that. And in relation to Europe and Latin America, the only reason why I have stayed in Europe and the only reason why, well, I am doing all of this related to Europe is because it's the place that has given me the opportunities.
Yeah.
Of course, if there is an opportunity in Latin America that were to arise, I would not hesitate to go there. But it's all about the opportunities that are offered to me. And until now, it's been Europe that has been more generous, you could say, in terms of
totally
offers.
Of course. Okay, so could you tell us if there are some things that you've learned in IS which you still use, or what was the most useful thing about IS that you can see in your present life or in your path so far?
That's very good. So there's a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that one course that I hated at the time, but it was pretty helpful, was academic reading and writing.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense, but it was very helpful. And I must say, I take it with me to this day. I still use things that I've learned in that course to this day. But in general, if you want to speak about things in a more broad terms, I would say that the view which Leiden takes on, and it's kind of like that critical perspective, right? That there is no absolute objective truth, and that there's always another side to every story, right?
Yeah.
To every part of history, to every just event. There's no such thing as an objective way of telling an event, and that's great. That's really great, because that also allows you to always keep in mind that there's another side to every story. And that's very helpful. It's very helpful for me on the day-to-day basis, but also on a personal level, it's helped me quite a lot to see the other side of the story.
Yeah, and I can also imagine it's sort of led your path a little bit. If you're doing argumentation and philosophy, I feel like that's very connected, and how sometimes things are portrayed to be something, but in reality they're not.
Absolutely.
Like that, yeah.
Absolutely, and that's absolutely the case. And also to take on, because what my job, you could call it, consists of as well, is to understand why is this so persuasive? Why do we can all kind of agree on the fact that this is bullshit, whatever, it's misleading, call it whatever you want, but it is persuasive, and they are gaining in popularity, and this is a trend all over Europe. So it's also about understanding here again the other side of the story. Why do people feel so persuaded by these ways of arguing, by these lies, right? Which always have a certain level of truth to them, but for the most part they're lies and they are misleading. But why do people feel so persuaded? And so I think this general kind of concept, I carry it on to my job, to my everyday life, and so it's really great.
Yeah, no, totally. And also I feel like time-wise, what you're studying right now is so important for the whole world, but Europe particularly. I feel like it's so alive in the daily lives of everyone and in the politics scenario that we have right now.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I mean, you have things like, I remember learning the first time about, Orientalism, right? You have all those paradigm shifts and within yourself, like perspective shifts, where you're like, I'm not a racist, but you find racist intuitions in your own ways of thinking, where you're like, you're not, let's say, immune to these ways of thinking. You always need to also humble yourself with those things. And so I think that's what the course of international studies in particular does so well, right? That it tells you, listen, we all have that type of bias inside of us. We all have a certain level of racism. It's okay, but let's work on it, type of perspective, right? Yeah,
no, totally. It's not only about criticizing what we see or what we read, but also sort of deconstructing ourselves and the way that we view the world as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you decide right now, like going back in time, would you do IS again? And if so, would you do the same region, the same language? Well, I guess that because of COVID, perhaps you'd like to do an internship or something. But is there something that you would have done differently, or
Yeah, so I would have chosen a different region, perhaps. I would have perhaps chosen the Middle East,
Yeah,
given what's going on right now, and because it's such a current hot topic, but it's also unbelievably complex. It's the most conflicted, one of the most conflicted regions in the world, and there's always a reason for a conflict. It's never like it's very, let's say,
yeah,
stupid even to think, oh yeah, they're just conflictive people intuitively, or this is how it is. That's a very com- problematic way of looking at
yeah,
it. I think there's always a good reason for any type of conflict that exists, and given the conflict that is going on right now, I think it would have been a great region to study and to really understand the conflict as it is from experts, right? Because one tries
of
to
course.
inform you try to inform yourself as well as you can, but there's always things that, yeah, go above your head, whatever.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that will sit well with the listeners that are doing Middle East right now,
Yeah.
but totally, I feel like it's such a complex, interesting region, and I feel like more and more we're realizing that we've learned about it in a very, like, yeah, well, essentialistic way of like, yeah, this is just the way it is, and not really questioning what is behind the conflicts and what really causes them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's probably what I would have done different. I
Yeah.
mean, of course, an internship, no, an internship I would not have chosen. I enjoy the non-working
Yeah.
aspect of my bachelor's, and I enjoyed it until now. So I wouldn't have done an internship. What I would
Fair.
have done, on the other hand, is half a year abroad. That would have been great.
Yeah. How do you view the job market for someone who has an IS degree or like these sort of interests that we're talking about? And if you have any tips or advice for us?
Sure. I mean, with my humble advice
Yeah.
that I can give is to specialize because IS is quite broad, and there's a lot of kind of topics or just fields you can go into, and so it's important to specialize in a field.
Yeah.
And my general view, this is a general view on life, in the case of Europe, if you do what you do and you do it well, you're going to do great. So do not focus too much on saying, oh, is there a job in this field, is there not a job? There are jobs, and especially if you do what you do and you like it and you do it well, you're definitely going to find it, no matter what you do. That's my view of it.
Yeah, that's great. Because a lot of us, I feel, are also planning what to do after their bachelor's, and there's always that doubt of whether go straight away into a master's, maybe perhaps do an internship in the middle, maybe take a gap year. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure in that sense that we need to decide everything quickly because, some masters perhaps have some like admission requirements and you need to do specific things before or such. And I feel like that's a cause of stress for students.
Absolutely.
And it's just like a bit confusing and daunting to choose. So like right now, so early in our careers.
Yeah. And you guys are still, remember, we are all very young as a whole.
Yeah.
We have time, we have opportunities. Like if you are a IS student at the University of Leiden, you are privileged by definition.
Yeah.
And it's not, you shouldn't criticize yourself and say, oh, poor me, I am privileged or anything along those lines, right? It's like, look at myself, I should unprivilege myself. No, make use of the privilege in a good way. I think that's the best thing we can do. So acknowledge the privilege you have. Say, listen, I am in a place that, let's say, 1 or 2% of the population is in, or even less. So let me make use of it as well as I can, and without it being a crazy stress on you, just do what you like, do it well, and it's gonna work out for you. That's my view of it.
Yeah, no, totally, 100%. All right, so for questions, that's about it. If you'd like to tell us anything else, we would appreciate it for sure. But yeah.
I mean, in terms of what advice goes, that's what I would say. Just really, whatever you do, do not try to focus on where is the market hot right now. Do not follow a path that you are not interested in. That's what I would say. Do a master's, take it calm. I myself, for example, took 3 years instead of 2, because in Italy it's very normal to take a bit longer. Do not worry too much about it, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's always that stress, there's always that pressure, and that is normal to an extent. But it's just important to specialize, find your niche. Find your niche, whatever it might be. Find your niche, and you will do great. That's the last thing I would say.
All
From my
right. Well, thank you so much for helping us today. And
Thank you.
yeah, see you next time, guys.
Thank you so much.